The gap between Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi is exaggerated.
No, the difference between Messi and Ronaldo is probably bigger than the media ever presented it to be, and I'm not going to waste your time talking about nonsense like pure footballing ability. Just piece by piece, I'm going to break down what the difference was between these two players at the peak of their powers. Messi just doesn't make much sense as a footballer. In his best moments, in his most prolific seasons, you could argue that this is the best goal-scoring force that the game of football has ever seen. And it's not because of the stats, it's not because of the ridiculous goal per game ratios, it's because of how reliably he can get to his spots and put it in the back of the net. Messi's athleticism is a joke. His first step, his acceleration, his reaction times, it's something like an alien. Combined with him being the best dribbler of all time, he can get separation past anyone. He can get to any spot he wants, and him just being such a ridiculous finisher on top of that makes him a goal-scoring weapon from almost any area in the final third. That's why you get ridiculous stats, like during Pep's Barca years, when Messi was the false nine, everything was being run around him. 44% of his goals were solo runs. That makes no sense. That's not normal by any stretch of the imagination. And don't get me wrong, Messi scoring on his own is not the reason why he's better than Ronaldo. In fact, players like Ronaldo that have crazy off-ball movement, that have the intuition to run in behind, to create transitions out of nothing, to get on a wavelength with their teammates that 99% of the best dribblers have no chance of doing, it's why he's one of the best players of all time. When you add in Cristiano Ronaldo's ridiculous speed, physicality, ability to create separation on the dribble, and eventually that final action where he can strike a ball better than almost anyone in the history of the sport, you could definitely make the argument that he's a better goal scorer than Messi in his peak form, which I consider to be that 2012 Madrid year. But ultimately, none of that matters when you start considering the second half of football, the playmaking side of football, the creative side of football. This is where gods separate themselves from legends. Lionel Messi is in his own tier as a footballer because of his creative qualities and abilities as a passer. Scoring a goal a game is one thing, but to also create the 5 best chances for your team week in, week out, that is a level of value that you can't even fathom. This is ultimately why I consider 2015 Messi to be the best footballer in the history of the sport. In this year, this man was still at his peak athleticism, still had the ability to score a goal whenever he wanted, in any game against any type of opposition, but his creative mind had evolved to a point where he could run any game in the world at his will, behind Neymar, behind Suarez. No matter what kind of player you put in front of him, he would manipulate the pitch like he was a puppet master. And it's not just because of his wand of a left foot, it's because of his increased mobility. Messi being the best dribbler the sport has ever seen, Messi being someone that you have to send 3 people to tackle, means he can access angles, means he can pull teams in, means he can break your defense in so many ways you don't even realize that he's undefendable. This is why, despite Messi physically regressing, he was still able to win the World Cup. There is a reason why the moment Argentina started to put people that would just run endlessly for Messi, do all the defensive work, just be his pawns on the pitch so he could pass, he could create every goal, every game, they won everything. These creative qualities, these playmaking qualities, is the reason why, despite Messi not having the teams in his younger years, was still able to perform for Argentina at a ridiculous all-time level. On the flip side, Ronaldo not having this type of skill set is part of the reason why he was not able to carry teams that were far below his level. As great as he was, if we're being real, Ronaldo's influence on a pitch was leagues under Messi's. Don't take that as an insult. He's someone who has three-peated the Champions League with Real Madrid. He's someone that has written his name into history countless times. When given that platform to jump off of, he reached some of the highest heights in football history, but even that was incomparable to what Lionel Messi showed in his best moments.